I am making a Fluffal deck profile. This deck is really fun and stupid when it goes off, being able to deal about 40,000 damage in a single turn. And once Master Rule 5 comes into play, it's just going to be stupid insane. So starting off with the monster cards, I play 2 copies of Fluffal Wings. This card's effect is if it's sent to the graveyard by a toy vendor, or if it's in the graveyard and you control a toy vendor, you can banish it and you can banish this card from the grave, target a Fluffal in your graveyard, banish it, and if you do, draw a card. Then you can send toy vendor to the grave to draw another card, and that would trigger toy vendor's effect to search an Edge Imp Sabers or Fluffal monster. Play 1 copy of Fluffal Cat. If Cat is sent to the grave as a fusion material, you can target 1 polymerization in your grave and add it back to your hand. Then I play 2 copies of Fluffal Octopus. When a Fluffal Octopus is normal or special summoned, you can target 1 Fluffal or Edge Imp in your graveyard to add it back to your hand. And then if it's sent to the grave as fusion material for a fusion monster of a Fright for fusion, you can target up to 2 of your banished monsters and return them to the graveyard. I find this to be helpful when I'm running out of resources, but I happen to have Fluffal Wings and that's banished, so I can return whatever banished with wings back to the grave. 1 copy of Fluffal Sheep. It's just a monster that lets you swap it out for another Fluffal you control, other than itself. And I've never actually used sheep. Okay. I've never actually used it with only the 1 copy, and I didn't know what it did exactly. But if you control a Fluffal monster except for sheep, you can summon it, and you can return 1 Fluffal from your field back to your hand, to then summon an Edge Imp from your grave, or hand or grave. Then I play 2 copies of Fluffal Owl. When it's normal special summon from your other hand, you can add 1 polymerization from your deck to your hand, or you can pay 500 life points to fusion summon a Fright for a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. However, you can only use 1 effective owl per turn, so you can search for polymerization, but then you can't fusion summon with it. Then I play 1 copy of Edge Imp Saw. I've never actually summoned this, so its effect has never actually mattered. I just use it for a third game. So, and I'm about to go into time because there's a certain Fright for a monster in my extra deck that requires Saw. I play 2 copies of Edge Imp Sabers. If it's in the grave, you can place 1 card from my hand on top of my deck to then special summon in defense position. This effect does actually come up with Fright for a Patchwork, because if you can't add polymerization or an Edge Imp from your deck to your hand, you can't activate it. And this helps to make certain that you can activate it. Then I play 3 copies of Fluffal Bear, probably the best Fluffal monster, where you can discard it from your hand to the grave to set a toy vendor from your deck, so it can't be ashed. And but then you contribute it to target 1 polymerization in your grave, add to your hand. However, you hardly ever use that second effect as much as its discard effect. Then I play 3 Edge Imp Chains. Edge Imp Chains effect is you hardly ever use it to attack, so its first effect never hardly matters, even if you do get to attack. But the main effect you use is if it's sent from your hand or field to the graveyard, you can add 1 Fright for a card from your deck to your hand, so you can add Fright for Factory or Fright for Fusion. However, you can only use each of its effects once per turn. Play 2 copies of Fluffal Penguin. During your main phase, you can special summon 1 Fluffal monster from your hand except for Fluffal Penguin. And then you can only use that effect once while it's face up on the field. However, the main effect you use, if it's sent to the graveyard for a fusion summon of a Fright for monster, you can then draw 2 cards and discard 1. Each of its effects will be used once per turn. Then I play the Reinforcement Army for the deck, 3 copies of Fluffal Dog. When it's normal or special summoned from your hand, you can add 1 Edge Imp monster or Fluffal from your deck to your hand. That is it for the monsters I play. Moving on to spells, I play 1 Fright for Factory. This card lets you banish a polymerization or a fusion spell card from your graveyard, except for defusion wave motion. Diffuse summon a Fright for Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or side of the field's material. And then if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target one of your banished Fright for Fusion and then add it to your hand. You can only use each of its effects once per turn. I play 2 copies of Fright for Fusion. This card lets you fusion summon a Fright for monster using from your extra deck by banishing materials listed from your field or graveyard. So what you do with this card is normally you would do a bunch of fusion stuff, and then when you're about to go in for, and then once you're all done with that, and this is the last fusion card you have, you activate this, banishing an Edge Imp Sabers, and all Fluffals, and I don't know. Never mind. You just use 1 Edge Imp Saber and all Fluffals in your grave to summon Fire for Wolf, which then gets 1 attack for every material it has. Or as you summon it. Then I play a 3 instant fusion. Pay 1,000 life points, special summon a level 5 or lower fusion monster in your extra deck. You only use this to summon 1 of 3 monsters, 2 of them which are the exact same. 3 Forbidden Chalice to deal with your opponent's monsters, whether you're going second or first. Then I play 3 copies of Fright for Patchwork. You can only activate 1 per turn, but lets you add an Edge Imp monster and a polymerization from your deck to your hand. Again, if you can't add a polymerization or an Edge Imp, then it can't even be activated. Then I play 3 copies of Toy Vendor. With this card, you can discard a card, then draw a card, reveal it. If it's a Fluffal, then you can summon a monster from your hand. If it's not, then you have to send it to the graveyard. And then when it's sent from the field to the grave, you can add 1 Edge Imp Sabers or a Fluffal from your deck to your hand. Then to finish off the main deck, I play 3 Polymerization. Just lets you fusion summon a monster. Using monsters from your hand or field as material. Moving on to the extra deck, I play 1 copy of Link Kribo. This you only ever summon this when you use instant fusion summon Relinquished to absorb a opponent's monster and then link off with it. The only other monster you could summon with instant fusion in my version of Fluffal is 2 Fright for Sheep. And even when you summon Sheep, it's just going to be used for material anyway. Then I play 3 copies of Fright for Tiger. When Tiger is summoned, you can target 1 card your opponent controls for each material it had. So if you summon it with using 6 Fright Furs, or 1 Sabers and 4 Fluffals, it can target 5 cards your opponent controls and destroy them. And then all Fright Fur monsters you control gain 300 attack for each Fluffal or Fright Fur you control. However, because of this effect, you can only control 1 Tiger. Then I play 1 Fright for Wolf. And it gets 1 attack for each material you use to summon it. It requires 1 Sabers and 1 or more Fluffal monsters. I play 1 Fluffal Bear. And when Fluffal Bear destroys the monster at battle and sends it to the graveyard, it can equip it to it as an equipped card, where it then gains the effect of the equipped monster gains 1,000 attack. Then I play 1 Fright for Leo. Fright for Leo requires Edge Imp Saw and 1 Fluffal monster. The reason I play this card is in the event that I should get close to time, like against stall decks. So, game 3, I can summon this, blow up an opponent's monster, burn them, and then ideally win because of time. If I'm not able to OTK them, that is. Then I play 1 Kraken. I would like to play 2 Kraken, but I only have the 1. If I had a second Kraken, I would take out Fright for Bear. The Kraken's effect is a soft once per turn of target opponent's monster and send it to the grave. However, it cannot attack directly for that turn. And then it can gets 2 attacks during each battle phase. However, if it battled, it then gets changed to defense position. Then I play 3 copies of Fright for Sabretooth, requiring a Fright for monster and 1 more Fluffal or Edge Imp monsters. This is normally what you would summon with instant fusion on Fright for Sheep. But when it's fusion summon, you target a Fright for monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And then all Fright Furs gain 400 attack. However, and then if it was fusion summon using 3 or more fusion materials, it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. And then to finish off the extra deck, I play 1 Fight for Daredevil, also for time, requiring an Edge Imp and a Fluffal. When it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it burns your opponent for 1,000 damage, and if it gets destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, while its owner controlled it, then you can inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent for each Fight for monster in your graveyard. So this literally just exists to burn, which I find useful in going into time. That is it for my Fluffal deck profile. If you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, comment below. Thanks for watching.